and gentlemen, you're welcome to another episode of the Get Down right here with the boy DJ K. The name that hasn't changed is still DJ K forever and ever. Amen. Today we are talking about the cost of living in Ghana. We all know how the economy is and how it affects our daily livelihood, our expenditure, and everything in totality. Joining me in the discussion, I have my brothers, my handbags, I call them sometimes. They're always with me, my rather dies. I have in the studio with me Nana Boache Dusty and then Tonto, aka Tonto Lulu. Manka Tonto Lulu, look at me. Yeah, Nana Boache Dusty. Charlie, Wagwan. What's up? What's up? How you doing, Charlie?
Yo, Charlie, I did, Charlie.
Everything cool?
Come let them by Benedict.
Come let do. You have your chance to tell us the reason why I come do. We'll come to you again. Tonto, what's up?
Yo, bro, Charlie, everything cool by God's grace.
Yeah, we
do
thank
me
God.
experience.
And then you come say. Now, you know, man, what to say?
I'm here to mobile.
Yeah, trading point say. Yeah, yaba. Okay, so let's dig into the conversation. Today, like I said, we are talking about the cost of living in Ghana. Nana Boache, let me start with you. How is Ghana treating you? Basically, I know you've lived all your life in Ghana. Ever since you started.
Hey, you're a foreign baby.
So what I say?
Who free him away pay Ghana?
You're no Togo.
Okay, Togo baby, let's go. What's up? How has Ghana treated you since, ever since you've been in Ghana? Also, we all word you. How has Ghana treated you ever since? How do you see the economy and how it's affecting your livelihood? Do you think the cost of living in Ghana is okay? Or you think it's up there for, the normal people or the common people like us?
The cost of living in Ghana, it's, when we talk about the cost of living, I mean, we are talking about things that affect our, daily lives.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll say, some of us growing up probably were fortunate enough to have our parents, cater for our basic needs. So we were not feeling it that much. But then, when we got to the age where we were supposed to be fending for ourselves, that is when we realized that there's a lot of burden to carry. Okay, so ever since I started taking care of myself, I mean, I realized that the cost of living in Ghana is really expensive. I may not be able to compare it to other countries because I haven't really lived in any other country aside Ghana, but then the comparison I can make probably would be relative to other parts of Ghana. I've stayed in Kumasi most of my life.
Okay.
And then I've also been in Accra. I mean, let's say for some time now, I've been in Accra. So
like
comparing
about
about 5, 7, 6 years.
Okay.
Probably.
All right.
So comparing the cost of living back in Kumasi and Accra. I've also lived in Hope. I've stayed in other parts of the country before. So
how did you end up?
They do remote job.
Oh nah, not be remote job. It be work. It be work we carry me go home.
Oh,
so
okay.
I stayed there for a while.
Okay.
So like that exposure kind of give me some experience of how the cost of living is at other parts of the country.
So let's rate it. Kumasi, Accra, Ho. You spent time in 3 different cities or different locations. Run it down for us. Accra, Kumasi, Ho. In order of higher cost of living, how would you rate them?
So for me, I think Kumasi is economical, followed by probably Ho. Maybe somebody will disagree with me. Somebody might.
Yeah, sharing the experience based on how things were when you were down there. So yeah.
But then between Kumasi and Ho, I think Kumasi is relatively cheaper compared to Ho. Okay. But Accra is freaking expensive, man. Bro.
Freaking expensive.
I can't say I wasn't expecting that. Honestly, I was really expecting that. Okay.
Accra is really. Can't use the F word, but then it's expensive,
Okay, I see. Okay, so let's come to my turn. Charlie, what about you? How was your experience been like? How was the country Ghana treated you in cost of living wise? How has your experience been? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I would start from where my brother said. Talking about myself living in Ghana my whole life. I've not been to other parts of, the world. I've just been in Ghana, and I've lived in
Charlie, there's a boy
Kumasi.
from Virgin Passport too.
You see that thing?
Stop
And I've
of girls.
and I've lived in Kumasi my whole life. But then aside Kumasi, I think I've been to Accra for quite number of times. Mekekabo mo I bet me 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And in Sunyani as well. Sunyani's own, it could be like a year. Okay. Yeah. So comparing those three, I think Accra is more expensive as compared to Kumasi and Sunyani. But then Kumasi is the less cheaper city as compared to the other two.
America.
Yeah. Sunyani.
KZI,
As compared to America,
Okay.
shout out to
So you think
Americans.
Sunyani is the cost of living in Sunyani is way better than
Oh yeah,
Kumasi?
because I think I had
And
an
then Accra.
experience. I had an experience in Sunyani where you could pick a boat and like 5 different or various locations. The
Okay.
prices are the same, but it doesn't happen in Kumasi because in Kumasi you could pick a boat from a particular place to another place.
Mhm.
It is higher, but then when you are picking it from, okay, this is an example. Let's say you are in Kumasi TUC.
Okay.
Then you are picking a boat from TUC to KJTR.
Mm.
Boats can charge you, let's say, up to 50 cedis.
Mhm.
But when you are picking it from KJTR to TUC,
Mhm.
boats can charge you 20 cedis.
And why is that?
Because
do you have any idea about?
I don't know.
Is it because
There are
of the
some.
traffic situation
Probably.
moving from?
Yeah, I think it's
KJTR?
a geographical area, that kind of thing. Because I think
A lot
some
of things
places in
influences
Kumasi,
the
that's how it
pricing.
happens. But
Okay.
as I've been in Accra, I usually don't use the boats. I use the public transport and all that. But then,
Public transport, then public transport.
I be church, but then Accra church already. I could be so drop a taxi that yo Accra Charlie, it be some way. Hey.
So if I get you right, both of you are saying the cost of living in Accra is super duper high.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've also had a chance to visit Cape Coast.
Okay, how was the experience like?
Yeah, I visited Cape Coast. I've been to Takoradi too before.
Mhm.
Those places are also quite expensive.
Wow.
Quite expensive. Cape Coast particularly.
Okay.
Man, it's so
Really?
expensive.
Okay, so with that being said,
but I think the reason why Cape Coast is so expensive is talking about, how should I put it? If you want to classify
is it a tourist?
That's what I meant. You want
But
to
I mean,
classify the regions based on
But
that.
I mean, if it's a tourist, if you are saying that based on the tourist, I think that's the reason why it should even be,
Cheaper.
less.
But then that's the
cheaper,
reason why.
so that people, want to visit. I mean, if I'm going to a place and it's way like expensive, I would rather sit my somewhere or go find.
They are not considering we the people in Ghana or
But
the
I mean,
native
the
people.
charges.
They are
I mean, the
considering
charges for
the
items-
indigents.
But still, the
those
charges for
traveling
items doesn't
from-
affect the people trooping in from elsewhere. It affects everybody.
The foreigners.
Yeah,
So
that
if-
is. I mean, that is what we should look at.
Okay.
They think they are doing that because of them, but then it's affecting everybody.
Okay.
It's actually affecting everybody.
I see.
Yeah, just as Accra being the most economic city in Ghana,
The most expensive city in Ghana.
Expensive city.
expensive
Are you
city
sure?
as well.
Maybe somebody will beg to differ,
Oh,
but then
I think
I
there was
mean,
a research.
we don't have much. I mean, you can Google it right now. Let's see.
There was a research.
Charlie,
that-
how would you
You'll have your phone there.
how
Check and
would you
let's see.
try
If-
to find a space or a room in Kumasi? Then they'll be charging in dollars. But Accra here, Charlie, plenty places they are charging in dollars. So that alone, no, you're paying
What's the jam Accra? But I mean, we can find data online. I mean, we can do as the honest. Check and let's see. Probably somebody has done this statistic, comparing
Yeah,
city to
there is
city
a research
and then
about
zones to
that.
zones, as to places that have expensive stuff. Maybe you can do as the honest. And as you're doing that, let's continue the conversation and talk about some of the factors. What do you think are these factors, the factors that affects this economical hardships or the higher cost of living in Accra? and then
Yeah,
maybe other
in Accra.
places that are expensive also.
So basically the economy,
Mhm.
the cost of living is dependent on some basic things. For every individual who is, young, or anybody living in Ghana or living elsewhere, is affected by these particular costs. If you don't have your own house, you are renting.
Okay.
If you don't have your own car, you are probably patronizing a public
Transportation.
system. Okay. If you are not fortunate enough to probably be a farmer, you are probably purchasing food.
Fortunately, you know that there are fewer farmers in Ghana compared to
That's what I'm saying.
you
Not
see
elsewhere.
that
fortunate enough
thing.
to be a farmer.
You
then
see that thing.
You are patronizing, food. So, and then also, these three basic factors aside, there is also the cost of utilities, such as electricity bill and then probably water bill. But then even
sanitation as well.
even that, you can say that it can be uniform across, because water bill and then electricity bill may not probably differ
It does.
based on.
But I think
It does.
there's no uniformity or standardization when it comes to pricing of items in the cities across Ghana.
We are coming. We will get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. So I don't know about Tonto is saying that it's not uniform, but then I think for utility bills probably it may be uniform. If I use,
I doubt though.
It's not uniform.
I doubt, because I barely hear people in Kumasi complain about utility bills and electricity bills. As
okay,
if
that is the case,
I don't know.
Then it's also affects the cost of living. So looking at the factors that I have just mentioned, okay, if you are living in Ghana, and let's say you are living in Accra, and maybe you are young, you want to get timber and wholesale container for yourself, and then probably start life, and you go and then you want to rent, and your landlord is telling you that you'll have to pay 1,500 a month, okay, for a timber and wholesale container. Okay, probably located closer to.
But I don't think. Okay, I get you, but I don't think anybody who is trying to start life, you don't really need to rent a chamber.
Even if you are not trying to start life and you have money already, I'm just giving an example. The factors that would affect your life.
I know people will come at me, but then I personally feel that there's no need for anybody who is starting life.
Oh, bro,
try to put yourself in that corner to get a chamber.
What you are saying is the hard truth, but you are right.
It depends. No.
You are right.
That is not the hard truth. That is his opinion. Because somebody wouldn't want to stay at a place that is less expensive, or stay at a place because it is not closer to a certain region.
Okay, let me not drive this conversation to a point, but then I want to make a point.
I just want to complete what I'm saying so that you just.
I wanted to ask you a question, but then you finish. You complete.
So the reason why I'm saying that is Koju's opinion is that if somebody wants to rent, it will depend on a lot of factors. You understand? Personally, if I want to rent, it might probably depend on where my job is located, how close I may be, or how fast I can get to work.
Okay.
Somebody may not consider that.
No, he's talking about the space. He was talking about the space.
Oh,
we have individual preference.
I was talking about the space and the monetary
space-wise.
Yeah. Like a young guy, you are not married, you are single. Even if you have a girlfriend, what would you opt in for? A chamber and hall rather than a single room? I wanted to ask him. I wanted to ask him.
I'm saying that is your preference.
I get your point, but I wanted to ask you.
That preference. Of course, everybody has a preference.
Yes.
Somebody starting life,
but then you have to be very economical, bro.
A 2-bedroom apartment, but you don't go for.
You boil down.
The reason why I'm saying that is somebody even starting life may want to have. There's a difference between want and need. What I say.
Yes.
You may want to have a 2-bedroom apartment with everything.
At that moment, that is what you need.
But what do you need? You need somewhere to lay low, to start doing your stuff. So why would you want to get a chamber hall that goes for 1,500? Maybe you can get something for 700 cedis for a single room.
I wanted to ask him a question. You see,
of course, that doesn't mean that cost of living is not high. It's still high, but then it just came to mind that I felt like saying.
Let me ask you this question. Have you heard of a friend who has traveled outside Ghana, and the first or the initial space the person actually wanted to settle in was a chamber hall or 2-bedroom apartment?
Of course not. I haven't heard anything.
Thank you.
That. But there are people.
But
who
what's
want
the
them to-
notion for the person traveling
But
there
I think the
to
construct
start life?
of some of the
You know-
most of the buildings outside they make it like a studio apartment. So
Exactly.
I mean
for
they are
for
a bit
single
spacious,
people.
but some are not.
But
even
then what's
spacious.
the-
Some
what's the-
people, they live
You
like,
see, what's the
like a
idea?
cubicle or a
Yeah.
small cubicle.
What's the
But then-
idea? We want to go and start life. We want to go and make something for ourselves.
Yeah.
But then when we are in our country, aha na yɛba abɛkyerɛ ɔga. Madam Fomra me dem no na ɛwɔ sɛ ohun sɛ
AC
no
bɔ ha, na wɔn
AC
ama
bɔ ha.
kɔ ha,
But then otu kwan deɛ a ɛhɔ deɛ ɔnfa obi a ho
Sɛ hɔ no yɛ
ɔnfɛre
obi a AC, hɔ yɛ obi.
ɔnfɛre obi a and all that. You buy
You
what
get-
at the
you
top.
get the point that I'm trying to. Yeah, probably I
Okay,
didn't-
let's
I don't know whether
let
you
him
people were-
finish with what he was about to
Okay,
say.
bro.
He didn't really finish.
whether the person wants to even take a chamber or a single room self-contained is the person's preference.
Okay.
We saying that you are starting life and then you don't have to. Is what we think to narrow the cost down. That is what we think.
Mhm.
But that might not influence somebody's choice. You understand?
But-
I don't know whether you get that point.
I get that point, but what
But
I'm
then
saying,
it's
what,
it's
the
an
reason why
it's
I
an
said that is
algorithm,
any
so
person
you don't
who
have
is,
to.
that's sensible, that doesn't want to put so much pressure on himself, him or herself,
Yes.
wanting to rent, starting life, at
You
an
have-
early age, shouldn't focus yourself to go and
Because-
get an expensive room or house that
Yes.
costs like 1,500.
Today, even today, we are not even
But of
talking
course,
about.
I can
that
tell
is-
you
that's
that
what I'm
there's a
saying.
single room self-contained.
You
That
should
goes
have
for like
made me finish.
700 or 800 or 1,000
You should have
here in
made me
Accra.
finish.
We
You know,
understand.
we are
you know,
privy to that
It's not.
information.
It's not about whether the king.
So I guess
is
it's
And
not,
today-
it's not really about
today,
the space itself.
today we are
It's
not
really
even
about the
talking
space
about.
itself.
Today we are not even talking about salary or remunerations of. This salary, but then
No, we will
when
get there.
we
will
dive
get
deeper
there.
into it,
We will get
it
there.
makes
I was
sense
making a
to
point, but
We will
it's
get
what you
there.
are trying to say.
so
So back to what you were saying.
somebody getting the idea. Let's forget about that for now. But then I personally believe that it depends on the person's preferences and then what is motivating the person to get the space.
Yeah.
You understand?
Oh,
If
they're the
maybe
motivate.
maybe a nipa no ba be worry, and then he wants to get a place that is convenient for the person. I mean that one. A lot of people hire a place based on your friend is saying reasons. So that one they leave it to them.
Okay.
But then if that is what I want, okay, and I'm going for it, and then maybe you are expecting that the budget shouldn't be relatively up that much, okay, the effects of the cost in that particular location differs from region to region. Here in Ghana, you
Yeah.
get it. I just quoted 1,500 as a price, but it will surprise you that you go to Kumasi and you get Chimbe Hall for very very
In
As,
a
as
situation
low
in a
as
nice place,
500 Ghana
you
cedis.
get it.
500 cities.
Yeah,
I'm telling
bro.
you, you are going to get some right
It's
now.
possible.
Bro.
I've seen some
Kumasi.
people, I'm
Yeah,
telling
I
you.
have
In a cool
I have a
place.
friend I visited.
nah.
No, listen.
They say-
Now,
Listen.
the things I'm hearing in Kumasi now is Charlie is
No,
scary.
that's what
The
Andy
Kumasi
was-
we knew before is not.
we
is
were
no
talking
longer
about
like the Kumasi.
geographical areas, but then
No, like take a place like TUC. I doubt you're going to get a single room self-contained or like HMN Hall
okay,
for less than 1,000 cities.
you won't get.
But
You
there are
won't
places
get.
that you get.
But
we are
there are
not
some-
using-
No, it may not be a
not
place,
easy.
like a plush,
We are not
a place that is that much plush or polished like that. That's what I'm trying to get at.
rent. When we talk about renting issues, a lot of factors comes to play.
Yeah,
The location is very important. Okay, if you want to rent at a place like a room, definitely it will be expensive.
Ne dum nipa doesn't it tell you?
There are
People
people staying
stay
there.
Hey,
Definitely it will be expensive.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like TUC, for instance, definitely it will be expensive.
oh yeah,
Okay, but definitely you will get other places that are relatively closer to town. But then NG things are and
yeah,
then
like
you will get
North
it's a spec.
Central and
What
South
I say,
Central
where
area.
where spec are
Charlie, it be spec place,
nice
but then
places. Oh,
I know someone who stays there and
That's
is
what I'm trying to
renting
say.
a space like I think a hall, kitchen, like chamber and hall,
Yeah, 500.
self-contained, 500
Miss
cities a
Obiya.
month, bro.
You get the
I've
thing.
been
Sounds
there.
interesting.
The space is nice, bro.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's a so the
Accra, nah.
so you see
Ah,
so
bro.
the
No,
Comparison that I'm
where
trying
you
to
Kitchen-
make.
kitchen self, I don't get.
the slums, but Accra, even in the slum areas, I mean,
You know what get.
500.
No,
you know what get,
so
bro.
you see that thing. So if say Ghana, chances are that rent will go against you, depending on where you are probably located.
Yeah,
Transportation will go against you, depending on where you are located.
yeah.
And then I did this, and I don't know, but I think a lot of people know this by now. That the living here in Accra, it is either you are staying far, very, very far, okay, that will reduce the cost of
rent.
Rent.
All that.
okay, because generally places that are very far from the city is relatively less expensive. And not quite say a two a but it's relatively less expensive compared to the places in town.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you are reducing the rent cost, it means that you are increasing the transport cost, because definitely you have to struggle with transportation.
Okay.
If
You have to board about three
or
Yeah.
4 cars before
or
you
four
probably
cars
get
before
to
you get to
your workplace.
So a
Yeah.
day you
So
spend like 50 cities for transport.
Exactly. So that is the way the living here in Accra is. So the cost
See,
of
I say can you train in near
actually back and front,
Hey.
the cost of rent, the cost of transportation, and then you come to your food. Well, food they probably may be able to manage with my one daily and I say 1 baby.
You still manage, but still
but
the
still,
managing aspect of it, the
Charlie.
price is still
Even-
up. And then
even with the management
Mm.
here in Accra, how many places can you eat? With like and
but about
the
15 or 20 cities.
I'll make us 1 million.
Your
Honestly,
satisfaction.
honestly, there are fewer places. There might be a place, of course. We
Of
haven't
course, there are some places, but
Well,
bro,
to
bro,
every area,
no,
but
no.
I doubt.
Bro, I want you to show me that place because
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
there
because
is.
there was a time.
I chanced on a
because-
video of one lady, spending 20 cities a day, and it was on TikTok. She found a way to do it. What I said. She found a way to do it. She spent 20,
There is, but
and she got 3 meals for the whole day. In the morning, she bought cocoa and something. The evening, she bought kinky. She didn't buy fish, or she bought sausage with it. She bought sausage. Said 3 cities to say.
Right now, the sausage
That's
here,
more
no.
sausage.
Bro, she's
with the
living
kinky.
on. She's
No, no,
living
no.
on Ohia expenses. Man,
It's not with.
No, listen.
No.
Listen.
So what you're about to
Listen,
say?
sometimes
What you were about to say.
watch it joint.
No, let me
bro.
say this.
Uh-huh.
What you're about to say is similar to what Andy was saying that going to rent something like 1,500. You are saying somebody is living on here expenses. It's the same thing. Why don't you live within your means?
No.
If that is what you want to say,
What?
so if somebody is able to spend 20 cities for the whole day,
Can I actually
it
continue?
means it's still doable.
Can I actually continue what I was about to
Now
say?
part of Gary sugar and Katia. So
Bro,
I
one fateful day, I went to this watch joint, because I don't know most places in Accra yet. Madam, watch it 7 cities. I mean, is it watch it 5 city car? I mean, watch it 7. What's the man?
We're lucky.
And new man no yes saying, bro, what's here free like
Talia.
Sparks, Spark, then the list, then the guy, bro.
Go.
Talia. Okache me say if we 5 cities say ko. Bro, Okache me say if we 5 cities say ko. Inti no o person oche me say. And then I'm a condo watch keke no. Okache me say Spark ne we ni 5 cities say ko. Inti lady no fine. Ebia they will be review watching it. 20 cities in the just for breakfast.
Let me shock you. There was a day that I went to buy watch, and then I wanted to do this Imura that thing.
Yeah.
Imura bay.
Manchester United,
bro.
They should put their guys. You're talking about the salad and win away.
Yeah.
At that time, I don't know. There was, I think there was a general issue here in Ghana. I don't know. The lady told me that he's going to sell that thing for me.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and I was like, no,
somewhere,
why going to sell that
somewhere 2023, it became a thing here in Ghana. They were selling it plus the food because they said
even now they still sell it, just that they don't tell you.
And they do it like that. But when you tell me that you're telling,
we have a room right now.
So you know what I do? I thought I'm saying, yo, from the house then.
I said, no, lie.
So why would I buy?
You see that?
The bottom line is on your punch.
But you know, honestly, I mean, this is.
Yeah, but you should complete. I mean, you should arrive at the point what you were saying.
Okay,
I'm just.
Time is not on our side.
Yeah, because I want to
also
highlight on something.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned the transport cost and then the rent cost, and then I mean we are talking about the food cost now. So the food, I mean we all know the cost of food here in Accra compared to other places in Ghana here.
Yeah,
it's so expensive. I don't know whether it's because there are not much farms here in Accra, and then a lot of food are maybe transported from other regions into the capital. That is why it influences the cost that much. I think that may be a factor. I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah.
But then it may be a factor. Because when you purchase something here in Accra and you get to Kumasi and you purchase the same item, you can tell the difference
There's
in
a
cost.
vast difference.
But
in the price
let me ask, are there farmers in Accra?
There are.
Are there plantation, like area of
I think
plantation and all
this
that?
should be something that's
No.
the
I don't
farm,
think so.
the farm and then the
Because
agriculture
salty,
ministry
salty,
should actually-
salty.
There's no
You
Ministry
see,
of Farm.
the salty,
Ministry
the
of
salty,
Agriculture.
Yes.
the
Ministry
salty
of-
areas that
I
in
think
for
they
answer
should-
that question.
They should really take this thing serious,
Be-
so that the production should be maximized, probably closer to the capital. So
Because
that
I know there are some
wouldn't be
places
so
here in
much
Accra
cost.
that you can't even access a
Because the
borehole
cost
because of
food here,
the salty water, unless you add some machines or equipment to filter the salt out of the water for you. It takes in.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
I've heard something like that.
Yeah.
They are saying that.
well, I
That's
wouldn't be
still-
surprised if you don't.
But then
I mean, there's advent of technology. China people are now
Chinese
doing.
Yeah.
They have a way of even turning their deserts into a
Is-
whole way.
Israel have been
Yes,
planting on.
Yeah.
So
And
there's
so-
definitely
since-
if the
Are you
government and then people
Yeah,
in
you-
agriculture are putting their minds
but
to
it's
it
hard to
that
do on-
they
it will take a
want
lot
to,
of time.
yeah.
make sure that we start growing stuff in Accra on a larger scale, they will find a way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
technology is helping us. Now to you, Tonto, tell us what you have to say.
So I wanted to touch on something very brief, but then me brief in the bit my 10 minutes. So
Hey, no 10 minutes, you don't have 10 minutes.
so I mean the cost of living in Ghana precisely and in Accra that we have established that is very
And the
expensive.
conversation
would-
has turned to Accra.
I would want to encourage people and tell people to just live within their means, because before I come back to my main topic, I just want to give
Hey,
an
Nana.
analogy. There was a guy who was being interviewed and was asked, like, they were just discussing about this cost of expenses in the States and in some parts of the world, and he made an example. He was saying, do you know why when you go to places, I've not been there before, but that was what he said, when you go to places like in the US, in the Arabian countries, why these sultans, these sheikhs, these Muslim brothers, they drive these expensive cars? And his answer to that question he asked the host was, you see, these people tend to build a house. He said he doesn't see the reason why, though it boils down to preferences, but then he said he doesn't see the reason why someone would build a house with 9 bedrooms, but then his nuclear family is just 4. So that's what these Muslims brothers, they do. They build a house, 2 or 3 brothers, with like 9 bedrooms, just as we are saying. Then they share the house amongst themselves. Their wives, everybody, their family, everybody will be staying in that house. Me, I've seen that in some, Zongo communities. In
Ghana have a
Kumasi.
SI, Jabe Tumuntem.
Oh yeah, I've seen some in some Zongo
Obusi
communities
actually
here in
pa.
Kumasi. Yeah, you buy water the
Obusi
Then
actually pa,
these
Jabe
brothers are
Tumuntem.
staying in
Fight,
those
fight,
houses,
fight.
so they share the utilities, because it doesn't make sense. You should. That's why he said it doesn't make sense. You should build a house with 9 bedrooms. You have a family of 4. You occupy the 4 bedrooms. Then you pay for the you pay for the
Utility
mortgage,
bill and everything.
utility for the whole building. Whilst there are some spaces left, you buy what
Most of them
what's
are
the
guest
top.
bedrooms. You have guests around.
Yeah, but then electricity and all that. That's why we
And I
classify
said,
them
"Nah,
as
no be
utilities.
anymore, yeah, so
So
lights."
you see, when you go
Anna,
to
if there's nobody in the room, you won't on AC, you won't on that, so that one won't affect
when
utility.
when you go
Maybe
to
building the house, maybe a boka home, but we'll see your SCA.
yeah.
Utility.
So
won't
I mean,
affect
living according to your needs. That's a part of
means.
it.
Okay.
So when you go to when we come back to the main topic, what we are discussing about and the cost of living, I think I had a friend in Northern region. And many friend didn't come. So I asked a friend, like, how is the living there? And the friend established the point that when you go to these northern or these savannah areas, Charlie, they do more of, we need to eat wheat,
Why we
yam, sorghum, like the farm produce
the
meals.
things they
Yeah.
eat what
And they
produce
have
physically.
less restaurants around that place. It's not that like people.
Okay. So I mean,
it's not like people.
The northern region is not. Is it that industrious like?
It is.
Accra.
It is. But then they don't fancy.
Accra is
Like
so
Accra.
so basically, if you have a lot of restaurants in Accra, it's because of
Listen,
the industrialness
but then
of,
they don't
the whole
fancy.
city
They don't fancy.
as a whole.
They don't fancy those things. You get it. But then they don't fancy those things. That's the reason why they don't have these restaurants and these places.
Mind you, Accra is a capital.
Yes. And when you come to Accra, there's one thing maybe I'll say that's the reason why we have to live like that in Accra, or people in Accra are expected to live like that. For instance, when you are working at Spentex, then you stay at Abokobi, or let's say Adenta. How many hours are you going to move from Spentex to Adenta when you close from work at 5 p.m.? Because of that, some people will not want to come home and cook. They'll be tired by then, so they would need a closer restaurant or any eating place for them to
that one I still feel is not an excuse. People who are living outside, they are working 4 or 5 jobs, they still find time to cook. You cook and you store it in the fridge.
It is.
No, when you're going to work, you take your food along.
You see,
so you will come
house like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. You go cook 11 p.m. You go bed. You sound go like that cycle.
And
bro.
I'm saying it's still not an excuse.
It's tiring.
People are living outside.
They
are working 4 or 5 jobs. Basically, they are living outside their house.
Outside.
Basically,
which outside? Outside Ghana.
Like in the UK, in the US, don't you speak to people? Don't you have friends or relatives?
But the kind of food that they feed themselves.
What kind
burger? They are used to more of the fast food than we are.
No, I personally have somebody I know who cooks. Or no, they are not their chef. If you want to find time,
I mean, you have a point. You have a point, though. But then,
so I'm just saying that is not the reason. It's not like the a strong reason for having lots of restaurants in Accra.
So aside the
restaurants,
and in Sunyani too.
But I think
there are some places. But then, don't you guys think is the kind of settlement that's in these geographical areas? Because Pizama, let me use Pizama as an example. He's everywhere in Ghana here, but then Kumasi, when you go to Kumasi, there's these eating places like Vegas and all that. I don't think Vegas has a plan of going to the northern region. I don't know if he has a restaurant there.
So what I mean, before you
and
move,
some restaurants in Accra here,
you have to
some restaurants in Accra here, you get it.
If people are not
they are just checking their proximity and the market area. So that makes them limited. They don't move to such places. That's the reason why those places are still going to be less expensive as compared to Accra and Kumasi dams. I don't know if you get my point.
I can tell you for a fact that Pizama may move to northern region, but the pricing for their food will be different from what you buy here in Accra. It's like, I mean, you've worked in a pharmacy before. No. It's true. You've worked in a pharmacy. You are working in a pharmacy. You work in a pharmacy. You've worked in a particular pharmacy in Accra here before.
Yeah.
The pricing here in Accra is different from the pricing there in Kumasi.
Oh yeah, for that one.
So it's the same.
But the chicken is still the same.
So the question I'll ask is, why is it that the same goods, same items from the same company here in Accra is expensive, but in Kumasi will be less expensive?
Mentality.
It's not just mentally. I think people are intentionally overpricing stuff here in Accra.
The
bottom line is that's what I feel.
That is why I was saying that.
That is the bottom line.
Are we spending dollars or Ghana cedis? Because we are buying everything in dollars.
And it's crazy how it's crazy how.
Or don't you agree
Accra,
with me?
everything is almost about dollars.
Yeah,
come on,
bro.
We spend cedis.
Let me.
Yeah.
Our currency is cedis.
Cedis, bro.
Cedis.
Let me see.
I always dropping dollars.
Let me chip this in. Okay. When it comes to the reason why some people,
yeah, already know.
When it comes to the reason why some people price things in dollars, I mean, this is not right. But then, this is what I observed. Okay, you see, our economy is not really stable, and then the inflation rate is almost every now and then affecting prices. Okay, so people would want to safeguard the effect of the fluctuation of our economy. on their properties or probably whatever thing that they have or they are selling. You understand?
Okay.
If I should price or if I should have a property, okay, price that, let's say 20,000 Ghana cedi for a year. Let's say if people come to rent it, I'm expecting 20,000 Ghana cedi for a year, and then there is a fluctuation in our economy.
Yeah.
The value of 20,000 in that
Then-
year may not be the same.
You're
okay,
right.
In another year,
Yeah,
so
you're right.
if they price it at with like in dollars, what it does is definitely anytime that there is inflation or anytime that the economy affects our inflation rate, it kind of safeguard their prices, you know. So the effect of that inflation on their price
Okay.
will now be an advantage for them
Okay.
instead of deservicing them.
Yeah.
You get it? That is why
The bottom
that
line
is
is,
not
the
that is not
bottom
a
line
big
is
reason.
people are doing me. I get it, but I feel people are doing that because they are not ready to make the economy better. They are not ready to make Ghana better.
Me, I don't
But the
Sure.
bottom line is, why should you be thinking that the economy is going to crash? So if I'm putting my things in dollars, if it's crashing, my money will be going up rather than trying to put it in cities and working towards, making the
So-
economy better. That
bus-
but you should also know that
So if
in
you have
as
realized-
much as that prices, the dollar rates will go up, sometimes it can also drop. But we
Yes.
are always focused on it dropping.
a business.
So yeah,
So
just
let
say
me-
cities never drop it. Nah, friends,
what I
dollar
realized,
cost.
what I realized
So
is
yeah,
that
I feel it's wickedness and then
most
intentional
of the people
by people. It's wickedness and intentionally.
most of the people who do that
Wickedness.
most of the people who do that are people in the private sector. Okay, it's not like they don't want to, I mean, price things in a Ghana city. There is a track record of
The
how
bottom line is
there is a track record
But,
of how
bro,
our
the bottom line
Bro,
is you
I
won't
want-
go to
You see,
you
let me-
won't
Bro,
go to USA.
I want
you
to
go to USA.
I want to raise an
and see
argument
people
here.
pricing stuff in cities, in
There
Yes.
naira, in sefa,
Yes.
in euros.
Yes. I want to.
Even
I want to-
in pounds. Pounds is bigger than
Yes. But
dollars,
then,
but they won't do that.
bro, I
If-
want to
if
raise
the
an argument
government
here.
Has
You
found,
see,
finds a way to
Mhm.
curtail all these things. No, some price things in dollars.
yes,
We have to protect the common people and the rich people.
I once
at the
had
same
a conversation with a businessman, and he was saying exactly what you were trying to explain here. He was saying that you see, for instance, he goes to buy something like worth 20,000 Ghana cedis to come and sell or do business with. Then his profit is going to be 25, like
We have
5,000
2 minutes more.
5,000 Ghana cedis.
Mhm.
So the total money he's going to get at the end of the day, without anything, is going to be 25,000 Ghana cedis. But then when he is going to the market again to
price will
reorder
shoot
to
up.
get something again,
Exactly.
it will be 35,000 Ghana cedis. So he has to.
Find an adjuster.
Find
But
a
then
way to
he
adjust it.
that I said it to myself that person is not as successful or shouldn't be classified as a businessman.
Oh,
Why-
I mean, he's
why
thinking
not?
like a businessman. So basically, that's how businessmen think.
But then,
No,
but
so
then,
he should be classified
so
as a businessman.
you
That's-
don't
basically, that's
appreciate.
how most businessmen think. in Ghana.
I'm not a business person,
I
but
think
then
you can't.
you
can't
don't
be
appreciate.
heartless if you want to be.
You
a
don't
business.
appreciate
You have to be heartless,
the
wicked.
profit and the loss in the business that you are doing. And you see, there are so many ways to strategize to make it in that sector. But then you choose to do what we are just
They
talking
just
about.
want to choose the easy way out.
Yeah. That's the reason why I'm
Overpricing,
classifying them as
overpricing,
failing,
As
like failing.
if the government
They
had
haven't failed.
something to save
If-
proof
yes.
or adjust the
Mhm.
effects of the economy on the value of the items they may be producing,
Perfect. That would.
it
you
would
know,
have solved the problem. But as it stands now, there is
And then
nothing
we
like
have
that.
Ghana Standards
yeah.
Authority. What's the work of the Ghana Standards
You
Authority?
get it. So
To
if
standardize.
there is no adjuster.
I don't really know their work, but I think
Imported products.
is it just imported products?
No.
So it
And
means it
like
should be
the,
the prices
the
for
local
items
made,
to
yeah.
So I mean, it has to be standardized
so-
across board.
Not
You get
only
it?
pricing, but then generally
Almost everything.
Yeah, almost
it
everything.
should,
So,
it should
I mean,
comply with standards.
So they are not really helping us, like that. They are not really helping us.
Charlie.
Me, honestly,
But then it
eh,
boils down to
honestly,
we the
me, I don't-
individuals.
I don't
It
blame
boils
them.
down to we the
So-
individuals.
So the
Honestly-
bottom line is the cost of items or the cost of living in Ghana is
It's absurd, bro. It's
absurd.
bad. Yeah, Charlie.
It's absurd. I recently watched a video of an expert, in Ghana, granting an interview saying that even the value of the thing you are, being overpriced for, it doesn't equate to the amount you are
Yo,
paying.
single room no pa kohwe mu kohwe.
And it's terrible.
you know,
There are some
it's
places
funny.
you go
What the-
to rent a place. You go and see the room they are giving to you for 1,500. I remember, was it Teshi or so?
Yeah.
A room you went to check out there. I mean, it's not any room
Up to
like
the
that.
standard, but they were charging.
And Okaza was just a single room, self-contained or something,
Yeah, single rooms self-contained.
going for like 1,500 or so.
A
It
month.
doesn't make sense. It don't make
Some
no sense.
small,
Just self-contained. That
Because
bro
it
from
don't
Adam-
make no sense.
Ah, well.
People are intentionally overpricing stuff. And then what you say, the market people. Master,
There are-
you
there
can
are-
go to Abokobi market here. Ade abakwa to tomatoes. Amuka omo hwe me mpu. Me kakro mo nti. You go and buy tomatoes 20 cedis, obey buy 5 or 6 na amount. But you go to a different place, you go and buy tomatoes. Last time a colleague of mine at work, no okay, you be told tomatoes 20 cedis free baby pen. Almost contain. I watched a video of one farmer complaining, he's an orange farmer, not complaining about it. Amba no beto anka wo mo ma. Omo te anka wa who say 50 pesos or so. But then when they come here,
Yeah, 5
they-
cities.
they come and sell me and sell 5 cities. I know crying get one. I can
Ah,
see
yeah,
the
yeah.
amount of 5 cities. So you can tell that people are intentionally overpricing stuff. Or we are that you blame it on the government.
Charlie.
But it's a way somebody want to rob Peter to opeso we are no but obeto what they do
Yeah.
opeso
No,
testimony.
it is surprising that all these overpricing is affected by the basic things that we mentioned.
Oh yeah, the basic,
yeah.
the
If I'm going to-
transport,
Oh, yeah.
the food, and I mean the shelter.
If
Charlie.
I'm going to stay at a place, okay,
I mean that's how
that is costing me.
even
an arm-
Maslow says the basic needs, you need.
if I'm going
the
to stay
basic
at a
needs of a
place
person.
that is costing me an
Food,
arm and a
shelter.
leg, okay, and I have a business, what do you think I would do? I'll have to do the business in such a way that it would be able to cater for
Oh yeah.
what I'm doing,
Mhm.
wherever, like all these basic needs.
But then, bros, I pray we don't find ourselves. I mean, doing those kind of stuff.
You know,
No, you see, there are successful businessmen here in Ghana. They have been very strategical and it's working for them rather than trying to rob or to pay people. Whatever
I think
it
that the
is.
system here in
Oh.
Ghana has, given people that kind of freedom to do whatever they want.
But
I
you
mean,
see,
there are
you
no.
see,
I mean,
law
the
enforcers-
law
are
enforcement
agencies
is
there.
there.
you
but they are
mentioned
not
about
doing
the
work.
That's the
GSA,
thing.
GSA and all that. Charlie, the FDA, the GSA, they are working. They go to places, but they don't. I think they don't pay attention to the petty traders, SMEs.
Look at
Yeah, I mean they don't pay attention to them, and almost cause damage.
look at the rent control people.
Say in America, say they don't pay attention to those petty traders.
It's like,
Look at rent control.
Nana,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rent control was supposed to.
let's finish with that.
They have a standard to which every landlord is supposed to comply with.
Yeah.
According to them, rent is not supposed to exceed 6 months.
6 months.
You understand? I mean, if you have a house and I want to rent, the maximum charge you can give that I can pay, at the maximum
I mean,
advance you can
like the
charge me
lump sum
Yeah.
for
should
like
be like
just
6
6
months.
months.
Oh, okay. This
You
is
shouldn't
new
see.
to me.
I mean, that's
But-
how it's supposed to be. But
The Führer will tell you that you didn't build a house for me.
and not buying the seat, or because they're not buying the seat.
Then let's talk about-
So if there was a general standard,
Can we
That-
talk? Mm-hmm.
and then the law enforcers, like what you were saying, were enforcing it that okay, if you do this, this is what you are going to do. There is a penalty here, and you pay it. There wouldn't be some of these issues. So people would have probably lived at a place that is very expensive and still feel comfortable
Yeah.
because they feel
Like
like
they're
okay,
not paying
fine, I'm
the
not
bulk
paying
money
it
for
in
like
bulk.
2 years.
Yeah.
you get it.
Yeah.
And then-
But here is the case that you will go for a place that is, let's say, 1,000, and then you know you can afford 1,000 from your heart, but the person is taking 2 years advance.
That's
then
crazy.
it means that you are going
So
to
much
take
pressure on
the
you. You
money,
have to-
all your money. I mean, all your savings.
all your savings, and
But-
then that will be your cycle.
But is
See
it
the thing.
is
That will
it
be your life cycle.
is
So
it
it makes it,
is
it
it-
makes it difficult.
is it the
Especially
is
in
it the
Accra.
demand and the supply chain? We should look at that, because for example, if someone it's our mentality. If someone is moving from, let's say, Kumasi to Accra for a new job,
Mhm.
probably the person is thinking of maybe this particular job there, the right job for me. The person here 5 years, like looking forward to work there for like 5 years. Then the person is looking for a place to rent. Ohun agent na said the obehuni biano. The person is going in for
Agents will call it
like me percent me 2 years, me percent. So the demand will make the supply. If the demand goes high, the supply also goes high. That makes it. You see, do you think so? Don't we think that there are some places here in Accra that give rent out for 6 months?
There are even
Thank
places
you.
that give 1 month, but it is limited.
So the demands, you see the demands from we the people.
The demand and supply thing, the analogy
doesn't-
you are putting,
No,
it
no,
doesn't-
no,
it doesn't
no.
fit. Because
You see, we are
people-
demanding it.
it-
We are demanding it, and they are giving it to us.
No.
who is demanding?
You are
Who
going for
Have you-
it.
have you- Have you ever thought of? Have you ever thought of? No, bro.
If you say that,
Have you ever thought of going to rent?
Don't say
Have
that.
you ever thought
Don't
of
say
going
that.
to rent a place for just 6 months before? Like, be honest with yourself.
No, that
In
that
your
is
life.
know why you don't,
when you
don't
go
think about
for a
that.
rent.
Why?
Because if you go,
See.
the person is telling you that 2 years
See.
now.
See,
Into-
nobody told you.
Mhm.
Nobody goes to rent and say, me ba behind, I'm person behind you for 2 years.
No.
Nobody does that. The person will ask you, what is the rate per
Rate
month?
per
How
month.
much?
And
And
the
what
vendor
can
will
say,
tell you
oh,
that,
it's
okay, this per
1,500.
month, but you have to pay this
Like I
advance.
said, but I'm taking 2 years advance.
That is it.
Nobody going to rent will go and say that. Ooh, when you were looking for rent, did you go and say that I want to rent and I want to rent it for 2 years? How much are you taking me? No, you first ask.
Sometimes you
how
even-
much is the rate for a month?
You know the funny thing?
That
So
is the question you
this
ask.
is where the demand and supply comes in. Also,
So
farmer, move on to the next person, bro.
and then you need the house.
You need a house.
You are being
So,
evicted into
that is
the
not the- that
So
is
will you
the
go and live
demand.
on the
Bro,
street?
so that is the demand I'm talking about. Like
So-
I said,
so
the
you
demand
need
is
it.
Even
like-
if you should put that
Uh-huh.
into play.
And
Fine,
you know,
you are-
You are demanding it.
Let-
It's
let-
not
supply.
demanding.
You are
And
demand.
he's
So
supplying.
let me
So
ask
that
the
means
question.
you go for it.
Thank you.
So let me ask the
Because
question.
if you walk away,
So if you walk away, where are you
Uh-huh.
going to live?
That is it. We have a
Will you live on the street?
you look for another one.
And you think
And you are not
this-
finding. What will you do?
Bro,
You-
forget.
It seems you haven't been a tight
I
corner
have
looking
been.
for
I
a
have been.
No.
Listen.
It looks like
I
what you're
have
saying.
been.
You haven't been in a
No,
tight
no,
corner
no,
looking
no.
for a place.
Listen,
before.
I
If
have
you
been.
have,
But then,
You wouldn't say what you're saying.
But then, now, yeah, can't say. I think some weeks ago, near can't say. Be said
no, you
did.
let's.
But then it's the demand, bro. It's more like
it's
Obi.
not a matter of demand.
Aha.
It's not a matter of demand. Tonto,
Just
let me
last
ask you
week,
just
just
simple
last
question.
week, we
Let me ask you this
were
simple
we were
question.
laughing over a video we saw on social media about the lady who was selling food and decided to was it the lady was scratching her armpit or something like that.
No, she urinated in the food.
Oh
No,
my
I'm go- I'm
Thank
go-
you. Thank you.
I heard them.
If since we are all going to stop buying that food, is she going to sell that food? Even if she sells and we don't
This
buy.
analogy
No.
doesn't fit.
Listen,
No,
listen.
it doesn't fit.
The moment we
The
stop,
bottom line
the
is-
moment we stop buying the
So-
food,
so
it
are
means
you
we've
saying-
reduced the demand
Don't you-
for
Are
the
you
food.
saying that
Don't
we
do.
should reduce the demand for our need to
rent a
place?
house.
That
It
what
is
you're saying?
our option. We
is
started
our
by
option.
saying it's our preference.
Let me
Bro,
let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So if you are not going to rent the house,
You are
where
going
will
to
you
live on the
live?
streets.
No.
I'm not saying you're not going to rent a house,
So
as in you're
answer
not
the
going to rent
question.
a house.
So where will you
You are
live?
definitely going to get one for yourself.
So your landlord has
If
given
you continue
listen,
looking,
let me ask
uh-huh.
you a question. Before you are not answering the question.
Okay,
You are not answering
ask the question, bro.
If your landlord has
Mhm.
given you 2 months notice, no one per diner, no one that time 2 months never have a swan.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to live? And
Probably-
no corner, all the places you've gone, they are telling you that I'm taking 2 years advance, I'm taking 1 year advance, and you don't have. What are you going to do?
Probably I'll just side with. I mean, I'll just try to comply to his supply. What he's trying to tell me.
That is the bottom line.
Anything America said,
nobody-
we are being
nobody-
placed in a tight corner.
No.
Where this demand and the
The
supply
thing
thing
is,
comes in.
the way you are saying it,
And-
you are making it look as if the person going to rent the thing has
Oh
a
no.
choice. You don't have a choice. So this demand and
Oh,
supply
can you
thing,
say
it
almost?
doesn't work
Maybe
here.
sometimes we don't.
I
Sometimes
get
we
No,
do
it
have
does-
a.
it doesn't
we do have a
work
choice.
here.
I get a point.
The bottom line is, if you
Sometimes we do have a choice,
I get
bro.
a
You
point
don't have
he's
a
making, but
choice.
You don't have a choice.
You don't
I get
have
a
a
point
choice.
he's making.
Sometimes, so
When you're
not at
renting.
all. Not
The
so. The
bottom line
probability is
so
zero.
what will you do?
The probability.
Especially here in Accra. Now agent you be do no agent sika be do. What the agent we call anu ajo we no ajo we. No be kika bo no be kwa bo you look about 10 places.
Bro, let's wrap it up, bro.
It's over 1,005.
It's
You check about 10 places. No about over 1,005. And
bro.
what transnational dream? I because it's 1,005. So soon I because you are 2 years advance. I would have paid. So you settle down and pay. So the bottom line is, so they have to put measures in place
The law
that is going to curtail or curb
What
these
I said,
things.
they should
If
actually
the law enforcers are doing their job, things will go down for all to enjoy. All right, the conversation has been interesting. If you follow this thing, we are going to talk over an hour. We have already spent over 40 minutes, but then it's time to go. So I would really love it if you are watching us to like, share, and join in the conversation by leaving your thoughts down below in the comment section. And then also remember to follow us on the various social media platforms at DJK Studios on Instagram, TikTok, on Twitter. And then until next time, may the Lord be with you. See you. Peace out. Don't forget to, I was joined in the studio by another watching Dusty and then Mark Tonto. My name is DJK, the only DJ who's not a DJ. What do I say? See ya.